How many of you did they hire? Enough.
The Western becomes dark by the end of classical Hollywood. I see such a change in the United States culture, and I think the Western shows that. These films take a more psychological look at the Western mold.
What'd you say his name was? The man with the silver-knobbed whip?
I said Liberty Valance. But if that's what you gotta do, you better start packing a handgun.
A gun? I don't want a gun. I don't want to kill him. I want to put him in jail.
Oh.
The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance is John Ford's last great Western, and yet it's so different than what preceded it.
Pilgrim. You got to cock it first.
I forgot.
I see it almost as a bookend to Stagecoach, because Stagecoach introduces the John Wayne character as a young, vibrant, outlaw.
Hold it!
And The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance comes back to an older, perhaps wiser John Wayne character who still has a code, but is much more cynical about the world.
If you put that paper out, the streets of Shinbone are gonna be running with blood.
The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, somebody described it recently as the greatest American political film. It's about how we rewrite history to fit our mythic needs.
You didn't kill Liberty Valance.
John Wayne actually kills Liberty Valance. Jimmy Stewart gets credit and becomes famous, and soon after that, Wayne is forgotten.
Who was Tom Donovan?
Eventually, Stewart tells the truth, and the newspaperman rips up the story and says one of the most famous lines in American film.
This is the West, sir. When the legend becomes fact, print the legend.
He's right, Rams.
Westerns are cut and dried. Good guy wins at the end. It's always for the best. There are no regrets. And this is John Ford, the man who created the myth of the movie Western as much as anyone, questioning it, saying, well, maybe the march of civilization, maybe it wasn't all good. Maybe qualities of humanity were lost. Maybe kinds of people were lost that we would be better having around today.
Nothing's too good for the man who shot Liberty Valance.
With movies like Liberty Valance, good guy is not necessarily the good guy anymore. And this becomes heightened with the genre throughout the 60s.
Sergio Leone kind of turns the Western on its ear. And because he was Italian, they became known as spaghetti Westerns, even though most of them were shot in Spain.
I reckon he picked the wrong trail.
Or he could have picked it wrong down.
His big mistake, I think, was getting born.
Sergio Leone took the syntax of Westerns, the gunfights, the empty streets.
Get 3 coffins ready.
And sort of raised it up to the surface and dropped out everything else. There was no culture, there was no society, there was no morals, it was minimalist.
My mistake, 4 coffins.
And Clint Eastwood fit perfectly into that. He was the man with no name.
The Westerns forever changed with the soundtracks of Ennio Morricone, his approach to using music to kind of punctuate the theme and tone of the film.
Ennio Morricone had done his score before they shot the movie. And so in the graveyard sequence at the end of Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, on the day, they can hear the score that we as an audience are hearing. Now, if you did that just silent, I think actors would start to kind of wonder what's happening. When you play the Ennio Morricone music, now you're in an opera, and it changes their performances.
Morricone's music and Leone's use of close-ups combine to really punctuate emotion and thinking. And the close-ups get closer and closer and closer to the actors' faces till you just see their eyes, and it starts to move more frenetically as, where's the gold? Who's gonna shoot first?
Okay, open up in there. Butch, you know that if it were my money, there is nobody that I would rather have steal it than you.
Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid is a counterculture Western. There's never a moment when you're not rooting for the bad guys in this movie.
It hit a nerve, I think. Unexpectedly, it hit some kind of nerve that had to do with outlaws and the outlaw sensibility.
Think you used enough dynamite there, Butch?
It's hard to find a film as playful and as fun and funny and wry and clever. Newman and Redford were the perfect couple.
I think we lost him. Do you think we lost him? No. Neither do I.
Paul and I had to connect as characters. So we spent a lot of time together, and the more time we spent together, the fonder we became of each other. And he and I became really good friends.
When we're done, he's dead. You're welcome to stay.
Listen, I don't mean to be a sore loser, but when it's done, if I'm dead, kill him. Love to.
Redford's supposed to be the fastest gun in all the West, and Newman is a very funny, sardonic leader of the gang, Butch Cassidy.
No, not yet. Not until me and Harvey get the rules straightened out.
Rules? In a knife fight? No rules.
Well, if there ain't gonna be any rules, let's get the fight started. Someone count 1, 2, 3, go.
1, 2, 3, go.
It's a relationship movie, and it's best defined in that scene where they're being chased. There's nowhere to go. They're on the edge of a cliff, and there's a raging river below, and it's so clear that the odds of them surviving are pretty much none.
I'll jump first. Nope. Then you jump first. No, I said. What's the matter with you? I can't swim!
It's a great dynamic.
Why, are you crazy? The fall will probably kill you.
The movie just works. And Westerns will stay around despite lean times because they're so central to our idea of what the country is. In one Western after another, these human figures are placed on this vast canvas. And in that genre, you can tell any kind of story you want. It is a vessel into which you can put anything.